Welcome everyone to Yin Yoga. We'll begin our class seated on the mat. I invite you to sit either on a block or a bolster, a pillow. And if you sit on a pillow, perhaps consider sitting on the end of the pillow so that your hips have space to open into. And if you're seated up on the block, notice that the sitting bones can sit almost to the edge of the block, so your hips can tilt forward off the block. The legs comfortably tuck under the body. And then bring the hands face down upon the knees. And we'll close the eyes to begin our practice this evening. As you inhale, notice the expansion of the rib cage and the lift of the chest. See if you can begin to slow down your inhale and be compassionate with yourself through the inhale. What does that mean to you? And in your exhale, allow your energy to sink down more into the block or the bolster that you're seated upon. Trust that it can support you. We'll open our practice with about 5 rounds of Om. I invite you to start and stop this sound following your own breath. So join in whenever you'd like, with a continuous cascade. Notice already the yoga doing its work. The silence immediately following the Om. This is called in Sanskrit the Turiya. It's the nectar, the rasa that we receive from the vibration, and we actually chant Om not for the sound itself, but rather to experience this silence immediately following. Ask yourself why you came to practice tonight, what you would like to work on over the next 90 minutes. Perhaps whatever's real for you right now in your human experience, this thing we call life. Bring the quality of whatever that is, that joy or that sorrow, bring it to the mat. That inquiry. And whenever you've found an intention for this practice, Gently and slowly bring your hands to seal that intention in front of the chest in Anjali Mudra. This plea, this prayer, as well as this offering and this acknowledgement. And gently and slowly nod your head, sealing in that intention as you allow your eyes to slowly, softly float open, gazing at the floor in front of you, coming back into this space. Gently relax the arms and the legs as needed. Welcome everyone, my name is Andréa. I'll be teaching Yin Yoga this evening. I'm the Detox Director here at the Yoga Barn, and I'm a naturopathic doctor in practice. And so when I teach Yin, I teach a medical Yin, one that's very, very safe and guided, and it's treating the body perhaps as the body wants to be treated. And so it might be a bit different than what you're used to. I invite you to follow whatever feels real for you, but I'll advise you through the poses. And as we go, I'll explain how I teach this practice. So we'll begin with a very simple Yin Yoga posture. It's a Yin variation on Malasana, and you're already halfway there. To do this pose, I invite you to keep your seat on your block or your bolster, and bring the soles of your feet to the earth, slightly outside of your hips. Make sure that your feet are solid, either on the mat or on the earth, somewhere where they won't slide, that you have a fixed grip. Gently rest your arms down toward the toes, fingers toward toes. And notice if you have this inclination to sit up straight. This is our normal yoga posture. In Yin Yoga, we soften and release. And so see what it would feel like. Yes, some of you are already doing it. To hunch over and soften and release. And come to that very first point where you begin to feel tension in the body, or you feel the body talking back to you. Be really sensitive as to note when this is. For many of you, you'll feel it as you bow forward in your upper back or your neck. In this Yin practice, the weight of the head is an integral part of our movement and our holding. In Yin Yoga, we hold poses for 3 to 5 minutes at a time. As we hold poses in this medical variation, we'll be taking 3 different stages to get into the pose. So you have plenty of time to deepen. I invite you never to deepen right away, to take your time to get into it. So staying exactly where you are, begin to notice your breath. See if you can relax a bit more through every part of your body, your jaw, the groin area, the ankles and toes, the wrists, elbows. Really allow the top of the head to drop down toward the earth and feel this embodiment of surrender. Yin is simultaneously a very simple and yet incredibly challenging practice, because all you have to do is stay. I believe in you that you can stay, and I invite you to embrace the stillness. So in this place, make sure your eyes are closed and know that you have nothing to do and you have nowhere to go. So slowly, so gently, stay. you find that your thoughts race in the mind, bring them to your breath and the relaxation of the belly. A minute and a half into the posture, you've probably noticed some quality of unfolding. So see if the fingertips want to slide down a bit more toward the ankles, or maybe even the elbows just to the knees. Wherever you are, no two bodies are the same. There is no form that the yin yoga posture should look like. It's how it feels. And as you're easing into the second stage, the rules are the same as you came into the first. So you slide down until you find that point of resistance, your body speaking to you, saying too much. And then you gently back up from there to where it's still comfortable, and you stay. What we find through this patience and working with the body is that it unfolds, that it's seduced into this unfolding, and that we work with and in support of this physical vessel in which our spirit travels through life. Again, you have nothing to do and nowhere to go. So on your next exhale, let that out. And if you feel like a third stage, the deepest part of the posture wants to become available, see what that means for you. Maybe sliding fingers all the way down toward toes. Maybe reaching for one block and bringing your elbows or forearms down to the block or a bolster. Raising the floor up to you and melting into the support. Continuously checking relaxation at the hip crease, in the jawline, in the belly, and in the face. Notice what shifted or changed in your body, what's surrendered and released. We're directly working here with the kidney and bladder meridians running up and down the back side of the back, and getting into the gallbladder meridian running up and down the outside of the thighs and legs all the way to the toes. Dealing with certain fluids in our body with kidney and gallbladder. Dealing with the Jing, the original life force energy, restoring it to replenish it. And calming down any excess stress in the gallbladder meridian. And as we stretch these meridians that come from the system of Chinese medicine, we release a tissue called fascia, one type of connective tissue. And we allow qi, or energy, to flow freely through these channels. Begin to take your final 3 breaths in this posture. Allow each breath to be more full and expansive than the previous. And take 3 full breaths to gently and slowly lift out of the posture. 1 breath to let yourself know that you're about to move. 1 breath easing up to the second stage. Staying there for the exhale. And then 1 breath coming up to the first stage. And relaxing with the eyes closed. Back up, seated once again. And gently allow your legs to cross back to the seated position. If you'd like to bring your chin up toward the sky, take a slight stretch. You can bring the right ear to the right shoulder, left ear to the left shoulder. And simply experience the difference. If the navel pulls back toward the spine and you round the back and bring the head down toward the earth once again, feel the newfound freedom that we've discovered through tearing apart, gently pulling apart the fascia, the connective tissue, interwoven through the muscles and connecting muscles to bones. This is the yin practice as we'll practice it today. When you're ready, gently open your eyes and allow your legs to spread out into a straddle. So you're welcome to turn to the side if that feels right for you. Make sure that your heels are supported either by the blanket on top of your mat or by the mat itself. So this straddle doesn't have to be at the width of how far you can go in flexibility. In fact, we'd rather it be a bit closer together to be gentle with the self. Place in front of you either a bolster or a block or both, so you have a choice. And know that as we use props in this practice, we're using them simply to bring the floor up to us. We're not using them to support the weight of the head or anything like that, because the juice of the yin yoga practice is having a joint capsule suspended in gravity. Weight of gravity is what allows for the release of the connective tissue of the fascia. The moment we put a block under our head, even though it might feel more supported and good, it's taking away the benefit of the fascia release. So using the props again only to bring the floor up to us. In this next posture, you might find that your first position is your arms behind you. Maybe even you take both blocks and put them behind you. Allow the shoulders to shrug up toward the ears, wrists on the outside of the hips, and the chin pointing forward down toward the chest, still releasing the lower back. Allow the eyes to close. Notice if this is where you're feeling something. If you're feeling it in the back of your legs or anywhere up your spine or your back. If you'd like to get a little deeper for your first stage, you can bring your hands either in front of the body and keep the arms straight. Lock the elbows. Allow the shoulders to come up toward the ears as the chest hangs heavy and shrugs. This is a very non-proper yoga posture. We're in yin yoga. It's a very different practice. Allow the head to bow down toward the earth. And find that first stage, wherever it is for you, heading into it until you feel the slightest bit of resistance, and then backing up and away. And we know that when we stay and we hold with patience and compassion, that edge will extend itself and the body will gently open and unfold. Check with the jaw, make sure it's relaxed. Check at the hip crease, make sure they're relaxed. The cheeks, the forehead, the belly, the ankles, the wrists, relax.
We bow and sink.
This is a reminder that there's no efforting in this practice. Nothing should feel forced or tough. Nothing should feel like you're holding up against resistance. In every moment, it should feel easy and surrendered. Maybe you want to find a second stage of depth in your pose. If your arms are out in front of you, maybe the forearms come down to a block or a bolster. If your arms are behind you, maybe you bring your hands on the lower legs below the knees and lean forward a bit more deeply. All the while, the head bowing, the shoulders shrugging, the chest and belly melting down toward the earth. And check in with yourself. Make sure that you're not resting in resistance. If you feel any resistance from the body, listen to it and back up until you no longer feel that. Stay there and the resistance will dissipate on its own, and you'll find you'll be able to get further, literally farther into the pose. Check in if perhaps a third stage of depth is becoming available. What would that feel like? See if that edge has extended itself. Go to that new point of resistance and then back up slightly from it and stay. And ask yourself, what would it feel like to fall asleep here if I let go that much? Notice the newfound depth in this pose. Begin to take your final 3 breaths in the posture. Each breath more expansive than the previous. And then gently take 3 breaths, 1 for each stage of the posture, as you slowly lift back up. As you come up to the first stage, place your hands on the earth behind your body. Shrug your shoulders up into your ears, lean back, and just rest, restore. Directly observe the changes. In this second pose, the straddled forward fold. We're working now with the kidney bladder channels in the legs, in the central backside in and out of the legs, moving the element of water in the body. This deals with emotion, things that we tend to hold in this day and age. Take 1 more breath in that relaxed position. Fully feel the restore. And then as you're ready, gently you can tuck your hands under your legs and bring them back into the center. You'll reach for your blocks as you bring your right foot to the front of the mat and your left leg back and down toward the back of the mat. For many of you, you may start this pose with 2 right angles in both legs. Notice if you feel resistance there. If you're already feeling something, stay there. Your 3 stages will then be gently stepping the right foot farther and farther forward. For some of you, you can step the right foot forward enough, knee still over right foot, where the left leg automatically is straight and you don't feel any strain. Perhaps you've done an asana class already today. If that's where you start, the 3 stages will be lowering down through the blocks, all the while keeping the arms locked, shrugging the shoulders up toward the ears, melting the chest and the head. And we'll find a yin variation of horse riding posture. And so for this body that you're inhabiting in this lifetime, there are 30-something different bodies in this class, which means we'll start with 30-something different starting postures. So find yours, find that place of first resistance, and stay there. Shrug the shoulders up toward the ears, allow the hips and the belly to be heavy and full, and bring the chin toward the chest. And if you find it's a lot on the wrists, put more pressure in the underside of the knuckles. There's always the choice as well to have your fists facing downward. Notice if you've already decided if you hate this posture. Notice how that's factoring into your experience of it. If there's resistance or discomfort, back up from it. Again, this isn't meant to be an uncomfortable practice. Meet your body where it's at. not your mind. If it feels available to you, you can gently ease into the second stage of the posture, following your body's own guidance as to where that would be, or how it would look, or more importantly, feel. This is a practice of listening, no expectations. And remember, if the wrist gets sore, there's always that option of the fists facing down. Knuckles and fingers on the block. And somewhere over the course of your next 5 breaths, allow yourself to deepen into the third stage of depth, whatever that looks like for you. Make sure the top of the head is facing down toward the earth and surrendered. And then for the last minute in the pose, if you'd like to allow the right knee to come out to the side and the right edge of the foot to hold down as the inner right edge of the foot lifts, and perhaps you want to bring the elbows to the earth and bring the body closer to the floor. Different variety of the pose, lizard. Make sure there's no resistance or discomfort here. Notice how you feel prepared between the first posture, Malasana, what we see in the right leg, and the posture that we've just done, prepared for in the back leg. Allow the chest to sink down lower and the shoulders to shrug up toward the ears. Head is heavy. And then as you're ready, begin that series of 6 breaths. 3 to let your body know that it can release more fully into it. Last minute of the pose, and then 3 slow breaths, tucking the knee back under, coming to the third stage. The following breath bringing you back through the second and then the first stage. After the third breath, shift your hips back over the knees, step right knee back alongside the left, and bow down into child's posture. Check that you're fully relaxing here. Check that the jaw is relaxed. And the belly is relaxed. Softness behind the eyes. Now we have a second side. I invite you to remember your intention for this class and bring it with you as you re-decide how you feel about this pose on the second side. Gently deepening the breath to lift the body. As the torso lifts, we lift the hips. Whenever you feel ready, hips stack over knees. And we reach back out for the blocks at their highest height. This time stepping left foot forward. Make sure that this is comfortable and easy. There's no reason that you need to shift the hips forward if it doesn't feel good in the back leg. Remember, the invitation at first was to be there in two 90-degree angles with the right hip maintaining over right knee. So find your first pose, first place of resistance. And stay there. Allow the shoulders to sink up toward the ears, chest and belly to hang heavy, and the head to fall chin to chest. See if you can let go of any clenching in the muscles around the hips and the bum, or clenching in the breath. As you feel ready, take somewhere over the next 10 to 15 breaths to transition into your second stage. And stay there calmly until you feel a third stage is available, guiding yourself now into your own depth and taking plenty of time at each stage. Staying fully present in the now, not where you're going, but where you are. Your breath will guide you there. In the back leg here, we're working with the meridians running up and down on either side of the knee, the stomach and the spleen. These organs and these meridian pathways deal with the stomach, our ability to digest life. And the spleen, any excess anxiety or worry. Notice whatever you're feeling and know that relaxing here is the key to releasing and freeing yourself from those feelings. If you haven't already, entertain what it would feel like to find a third stage of depth. Remembering to find the edge and back away from it, responsibly, with compassion for this physical vessel. Notice what's changed in the back leg. And if you'd like to experience lizard for the last moment of your posture, you can bring the elbows and the forearms down toward the earth. Allow the inner edge of left foot to lift off the ground and the knee to bow out to the side. The torso and the head come down toward the earth. And we relax. Beautiful. I see many of you using the blocks to bring the floor up toward you. Fantastic. Make sure the breath is full and easy. And explore psychically what it would feel like to fall asleep here. Begin those last 3 breaths, easing more deeply into the posture. And then gently ease up into the 3 breaths which take you out of this posture through the 3rd, the 2nd, and the 1st stage of depth. Gently shift the hips back over the knees. And this time I invite you to bring forearms down to the mat and lay flat on your belly. Elbows will come out to the side. Fingers will interlace, and we'll bring the left ear and cheek down to the hands. Makrasana, crocodile, big toes touch, heels fly out to the side. If you like, you can let out a few exhales through the mouth. Reflect on your intention, on how your experience of the second side was compared to the first. Make sure the jaw is relaxed here and allow the shoulders to shrug up toward the ears. And then gently, slowly begin to deepen your breath. Tuck the tailbone under and press the pubic bone into the earth. And allow that movement to begin to lift your head. Your eyes can remain closed as you bring right cheek and right ear down to the hands. Gently surrendering, relaxing through the pelvis. As you're ready, deepen the breath, belly presses into the earth. Tailbone tucks, pubic bone presses downward into the mat. And allow your shoulders to lift as you reach your arms forward in front of you. It's okay if you tickle someone's toes. Begin gently to rock onto the right side of the body. You can use left fingertips into the earth to assist. As we rock onto the right side, the left knee will bend. Top left leg bends, and we'll reach left arm all the way back behind us to find a twist, moving out of the way any props, clearing this passageway. And notice if you try to come all the way into the twist right away, if you feel any resistance, back away from it and stay there. Over time, as you simply surrender to gravity, this pose will unveil itself. Eyes closed. Left ear hangs down toward the earth. Relax at the hips, the groin, the jaw, the belly. And simply stay in stillness. yourself to sink deeper, following your own breath. And then gently rest into those final 3 breaths, each one more expansive and longer than the previous. Imagining you could sleep here. Take 3 breaths so slowly that I can't even tell you're moving. Roll back towards your belly. Notice this gentle care, this slowness. As the left arm drags over the body, reach it back the front of the mat, and you can take a pause with the elbows tucked under the shoulders and the forearms on the earth. Yin variation of Sphinx. This drains the energy back down into the kidneys and recharges. Full awareness of our breath, we reach the arms out in front of us. Press the right hand into the earth, roll on to left side. Top right knee begins to bend as the right arm reaches over the top of the body and out to the side. Moving gently any props, we can experience full release into this twist, guiding yourself through the 3 levels, or rather allowing gravity to simply do its job, surrendering. As we deepen into the experience of this pose, we bring cognitive awareness to the fascia in the abdomen, surrounding and connecting, wrapping our vital organs, beginning to release in this beautiful supine reclining twist. More more space for the organs to function freely and more effectively. The inclusion of the arms in this pose, we're bringing in meridians on the upper part of the body, the lung, the large intestine meridians specifically, the inner and outer parts of the arm. These deal with the emotions of grief, with our ability to surrender or let go. Allow that surrender and that letting go as you take your final 3 breaths in this pose, deepening fully in to complete relaxation. Prepare to come out of the pose. Take 3 full breaths. Move your head first. Be so delicate with yourself. Move so slowly I can't even tell you're moving. As the right arm comes over the body, we'll meet up once again with the forearms on the earth in that Sphinx posture. Elbows under shoulders, no hurry to get there, just knowing where we're going. This time, shrug the shoulders up toward the ears and allow the chin to come to the chest, the head to hang heavy. Experience the freedom in the back of the neck. See if there's anywhere in your body you can relax more, resist less. The palms of the hands and the wrists, the creases of the hips, the inner groin, the jaw or the belly. Take 3 more breaths here. Consciously aware of letting go. On the 4th inhale, I invite you to press the pubic bone into the earth. Tuck the tailbone under and lift the navel up away from the ground. Slight engagement of the abdominal center as we lift the hips off the earth and place the hands beneath the shoulders. Preparation for our next posture, a swan posture. We drag the right knee, right shin on the earth. Right knee drags forward between the thumbs. In this posture, we keep right heel at the left hip crease. Top of the right leg on the earth. So it's not pigeon, it's swan. In this conservative variety, we can even come up to the blocks if this is too much for us, or gently ease in through those 3 stages, varying degrees of depth, guiding yourself into them now, trusting these messages from your body. Easing in to find that first point of resistance, backing away from it, allowing the belly to relax, the shoulders to shrug up toward the ears, and the head to hang heavy. Guiding yourself through this now. If you haven't already, lowered down to your second stage. If that's forearms to a prop or toward the earth, noticing if you've gone too far and easing back up and away from it, being patient with this blessed body. Deep now into the fascia surrounding the piriformis muscle, a deep internal bum muscle, something that almost never gets released and constantly builds up through this life of sitting. Find your way when you're ready. Maybe after 5 or 10 breaths to the third posture in the depth. Beautiful, this conversation that you're having right now with your body. How much is too much? How much is just enough? How can I get back in alignment with you, body? Begin to take your final 3 breaths. And then gently, and so slowly, 3 full breaths to come out of the posture. 1 for each stage of movement. With the 4th inhale, slip the right knee back alongside the left and bow into child's pose. Together we can take a deep inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Notice in this pose if you feel the energy circulating differently up the right side to the left side of the body. When you're ready, try to keep your eyes closed as you gently lift the hips and shift the body forward. Wrists under shoulders, and the left knee slides up between the thumbs. Front of the left lower leg upon the earth. Left heel at the right hip crease, on the right side of the pubic bone. With your eyes closed, allow the heart to sink, the belly to be full, the shoulders to shrug up toward the ears, and the head to bow. And intuitively guide yourself through these 3 stages of depth and unfolding. If you haven't already found the 3rd stage of depth, make your way there. Remember that it's supposed to be completely comfortable. Mild, if any, sensation of aliveness. There's no race down to the earth. And to take your final 3 breaths in this posture. And allow those to be followed with a very, very slow final 3 breaths to lift you out. Back through the 3 stages. As you're ready, step left knee back alongside the right, and we'll press again back into child's pose. This time, as the toes touch, allow the knees to be a bit wider, with the belly resting down in between the thighs. Notice the release in the sides of the hips, this area deep inside around the muscle of the piriformis, the fascia, releasing, restoring, breaking down any old adhesions or buildups of connective tissue. Notice the fluidity of the back from the hips all the way up to the shoulders, the back of the neck, top of the head, up to the fingertips. This opening, evidenced here in child's pose. Ready. Gently and slowly begin to walk your hands in toward your knees as you lift the body and come to sit back upon your heels. Take your time and then lift the hips over the knees, tuck the toes under, and come into a squat position, the full variety of Malasana. Feet upon the earth, space between the heels, the bum down toward the earth. Notice how this feels, if perhaps a bit freer than normal. We'll transition through this pose back onto the bum as we prepare for our final resting pose. In a sequence, a chest and heart opening yin variety of Shavasana. So there'll be a few options here. The first is a bit more intense, so if it doesn't feel right for you, please don't force it. We'll set up the blocks with the tallest version of a block to support the head, horizontally side to side. And then under the thoracic spine The upper spine, where the rib cage is, will have a block at its medium height, lengthwise along the mat. Supporting the lower thighs and the knees is the bolster, side to side. So when you're ready, you can gently lay down onto your blocks. Make sure that you're gentle with yourself. And the lowest part of the block under your back should be at the lowest ribs. The arms can make their way, elbows to earth, back side of the hands rest down. Feel the shoulder blades hugging into the block. Make sure the head is able to be relaxed here. If this doesn't feel like a pose that you'll be able to hold, or if it feels like your body is in resistance or it's painful, simply push into the elbows and press yourself back up. I'll show you a second variety. The second option will be to switch the bolsters and the block. The one bolster comes behind the back to support the spine, and the blocks at their medium height rest under the knees. This is more of a restorative variation of Shavasana. And so please, if you're feeling in the slightest bit uncomfortable, there's no need to force it. Both poses have very similar benefits. The eyes closed, we allow the eyeballs to sink deep into the sockets. Jaw relaxed. Breath is full. And we fall into Shavasana.